Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alright, we continue again our discussion on topic chapter 2. This chapter or this topic, we're going to discuss about ineffective parentings. Because last time we discussed about effective parenting. So today is the opposite, which ineffective. Ineffective means being parent who are not effective doing their job or responsibility as a parents. So altogether there are 6 we're going to discuss, right? So number 1 here is overprotective patterns. So being overprotective is parents continuously substitute themselves to their children's regarded the children's are very fragile. Parents continuously substitute themselves to their children's means parents want these children's becoming the most perfect children's for them. So they don't want any mistakes to happen. They don't want any single things messy happen to the children's. So because of that, children's become overprotective. Protection, giving protection, being a protective to children is good, right? Is very good and is needed. Parents need to be like a protector to the children, but overdoing it, you are overprotecting the children's might harm, might be not good for the children for sure. In doing so, they prevent their growing up and exploration to the environment. So by being overprotective or do things too much, so actually you are disturbing their natural process of growing and the ability of the children to explore the environment. So these children have their own ability, have their own skills in exploring the environment. They also have their natural talent in growing up. But by overprotecting, actually you are distracting the natural process. Therefore, it may limit the learning opportunity of the children. So, as a parent, being protective is highly recommended. It's good. They need you to be protector. They need to be protective, but do not overdo it. Okay? A simple example that you are not you're not allowing your children to play outside of the house. So being a parent, you need to protect them, of course. You don't want something danger happen to them when they're playing outside. But stopping them, not allowing them to play outside, which is considered overprotection. Right, that's number 1. Number 2 is democratic or permissive pattern. So what is democratic or permissive patterns? Here means the demand of the children become the highest priority in the family, or the hierarchy and the authority of the parents become less prevailing. As a parent, all right, you need to understand that the hierarchy and the authority as a parents should be higher. The respect to the parents should be higher. All right? But by giving all or everything that demanding by the children, actually you are lower down your priority as a parent. Of course, you can fulfill all the requests by the children, but not everything. You need to put a limit. There are things you can provide. There are things you cannot provide. Not because of you couldn't afford, not because you don't have money, not because of you want to save the money, not because of that. Because of you want to educate them. You want to teach them. You want them to learn. So that is the main objective by putting a limit. And then by giving everything to them, actually you are treating your children like your friends. Friend is different than children's. You can treat children like your friends when they are at the age of teenagers and above. Means while they are children, you need to treat them as a small children. They need a more guidance. They need more assistance. They need more nurture process. Need to be observed, but do not give a lot of freedom to a small children. You can treat them as a friend when they're growing up to the next development of um, age, for example, teenagers and above. They're starting growing to the secondary school, for example. Okay, when they reach 15, 16, 17, you can give more freedom for them to think. They can decide by themselves while they are 18. So before that, everything need to be guided. Do not treat them, lose your position as a parent. Do not be too lenient because they are small kids. They need guidance. So democratic or permissive pattern means you are behaving like a friend, you are less control, you are too lenient, you give them more space and freedom to do things by themselves. You are fulfilling all requests by your children. At the end, you are spoiling the children. Spoil in a sense that you are not educating them, they are not learning to be independent, and they are not going to survive emotionally as well as socially when you are not around. Okay? And then next is self-sacrifice pattern. Self-sacrifice pattern here means parents continuously sacrifice themselves in order to give their children as much as possible. They might expect their children to do the same for them. So continuous sacrifice in order to give their children as much as possible. You are pampering your children too much. You are pampered. You love too much your children until you spoil the children. If you remember the story of the late almarhum Piramli, Tan Sri Piramli, almarhum Tan Sri Piramli, dalam satu kisah in one story called Anakku Sazali. Okay, because he's the only son that he got, Sazali, and he's a single father. The love is too much to the Sazali. What happened? He gave everything, freedom. Even Sazali make a mistake, he tried to hide that mistake, allow that to happen. And then what happened to the Sazali when he's growing? It's spoiled. You're unable to control him because you already educate him since children to do the bad things, allowing bad things happen in front of your eyes. So means you self-sacrifice. You sacrifice yourself in order to allow some things which is not happy to happen in front of you. All right. And then by doing this self-sacrifice, you also expect, you have a high expectation. You want them to remember that. You want them to do the same as you did. Of course, you couldn't expect that because they are not adult. Their maturity is not reached the level yet. They are children. They couldn't think. They couldn't rational. They do something just because of their instinct, for example, their limitation as young children. That's it. They couldn't think much. You couldn't expect more. If you do something good, you sacrifice a lot, right? To provide their request, their demand. At the end, you are hoping they can do the same to you. Of course, it's going to be impossible because they are young children. So this is becoming ineffective parents. Next is inconsistent pattern. What is inconsistent patterns? Parents are feeling insecure and keep shifting the parenting style in interaction with their children. This type of parenting may not be effective in setting up rules. Inconsistent means today you say A, tomorrow you change, you say B. So how you want to set a rules in a house if you are not consistent? All right. In order to setting up a rules, you want them to follow the rules and regulation. You need to be consistent. Today you say no. Tomorrow you also need to say no. The next week also you need to say no. The following weeks also you need to say no. Then they will understand that means really no. But if today you say no, next week you say yes, the following weeks you say no again, and then you say yes, means that is not consistent. So you're making them confused. What type is rules and regulation? So they will put in their mind, whenever my mom say no, it doesn't mean no. It will change next week. It will become yes. Whenever your mom says yes, she will understand that maybe not really yes. Next week is going to change to no. So it means at the end, they don't understand the rules and regulation and they're not following your rules and regulation, and at the end that will make your life as a parent more difficult because you couldn't give any instruction because they don't trust and don't believe at you because you being inconsistent. Right? Next is a delegating model. In this case, parents tend to hand over their responsibility and authority to the other party, such as grandparents, teachers, childminders, and mates. Mates, for example, friends. They may simply rely on the other individuals to educate, nurture, and taking care of the children. You are delegating your responsible to other person. You are the one who should take over the responsibility, the full responsibility. If you need a help, you are requesting a help or assistance for sometimes from your grandparents or from your friends, from childminders, it's okay, it's fine. Because due to work sometimes, we need a help. We couldn't be around for a few times. But by delegating means you are handing over, you give your responsibility to teachers, for example, to childminders. You are not taking care of them. In educating their manners, you handing over to teachers. You are handing over to childminders. In taking care of your children, you are handing over to your mate, for example, your friends, for example. So how you can expect them to do perfectly? It will be impossible because they are not their blood. You are the real parents and they are not the real parents. The attachment is not as strong as you as a real mother and as a real father. Of course, there are some cases other people are more care than you, meaning you are not doing your part as a parents well. So, but in most cases, real parents, which is mother and father, are more responsible, are more understand compared to others. So do not simply delegate your responsibility to other people. Delegate means you put responsible to others. You don't want to take that responsibility. So that's the meaning of delegating. You think teachers can do on your behalf. It shouldn't be that way. And the last part being ineffective is authoritarian models. Authoritarian models, okay, can be understood or can be seen from the characteristic. Okay, parenting style, there are many, right? You can check. There are authoritative parenting style, there are authoritarian parenting style, okay, and there are other few parenting style. So of course, being authoritarian is not good because it not effective. So some of the characteristic of being authoritarian model is ineffective role models, lack of religious knowledge, inflexible and rigid, insensitive. So basically, in authoritarian model means you are too strict, you are too rigid, you are too harsh, you don't give any room for negotiation, you don't allow mistake to happen, right? So means if young children's having you as authoritarian parents, mean they will feel scared. They will do things because they're scared of you and they don't have chance to talk, to say something. Everything been set up. So that is authoritarian. So means you are not becoming a sensitive parents. If they have a emotional problem, they have some issues in school, you will not listen. Because being authoritarian parents, you are too rigid. They need to follow 100% the instruction. So that is authoritarian model of parenting. So of course, as a Muslim, you need to have a background of Islamic teaching. Your background as a Muslim must be there. You must have applying a basic religious activities at home as a Muslim. As simple as 5 daily prayer. So being authoritarian, if you're not applying 5 daily prayers, how you want to educate your children? 5 daily prayers, that is a responsibility as a Muslim. So parents practice that 5 daily prayer. So at the same time, you also apply this practice to young children for them to understand this is a Muslim responsibility. Whenever the prayers times come, so you will performing prayers. Same goes to Fasting, for example, during Ramadan, you will fast and you will teach to your children, this is fasting month. Let us learn to fast. There are practices during fasting months. Zakat, paying zakat, for example. All right. So all these basic pillars in Islam is applied. Do not cheat others. Do good to others. All this is values as a Muslim. So by having a religious background, you will teach children accordingly. But not having a of lacking of religious knowledge, you are not being good models, because in Islam, being authoritarian is not an Islamic teaching. All right, as a parents, as a Muslim parents, you shouldn't be an authoritarian models. It more to authoritative model. Later on, you can have a look at what is authoritative parenting style. That close to what Islam teach Muslim in order to become a parents, become a father and responsible mother. Okay, so that's all about in this subtopic, become ineffective parenting. There are 6 points. Number one, overprotective patterns. Being democratic means you are giving everything to the children, like they are not small kids. Self-sacrifice is not effective parenting. Inconsistent pattern is not effective. Delegate models, you give responsibility to others, that is not effective. Being authoritarian parents, that is not effective parenting style. All right, that's all. Assalamualaikum.